Apple's biggest update ever is only a couple months away.
Welcome to the All Future Podcast, where we talk about tech coming in the future throughout the week. In this case, coming in June with WWDC just announced. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about with this. Stuff we talked about on the podcast previously, like the AI integration, improvements to Apple Vision Pro. What's going on?
Well, it looks like it's going to be a classic WWDC, but it's coming up on June 10th through 14th, and they're going to show off supposedly iOS 18, iPadOS 18, tvOS 18, which actually, how are we already to 18 on tvOS?
I'm not sure.
Is that the numbering?
Is that like a retroactively adding the number? I don't know. The new tvOS.
It's like when they jumped to the iPhone X. Mac OS 15, WatchOS 11, and Vision OS 2, which I'm particularly excited about. But they hinted here in a tweet. It says, mark your calendars for WWDC 24, gives the details, and it says it's going to be absolutely incredible, which spells out AI. They're clearly hinting that this is going to be all about AI. And reportedly, Apple internally is saying iOS 18 is their biggest update ever.
Very exciting. I always love the decoding Apple events. Like, that's a whole, like, industry in the Apple rumor thing. It's like, absolutely incredible. Says AI. Like, it's got to be AI.
Yeah.
Which Apple might be clever enough, and they did that on purpose. Maybe they didn't. I don't know.
I think so,
It's either way, it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. But, yeah, I mean, it's something we've been talking about a lot here is I think that the headline is going to be the reveal of Apple's at least initial plan for the integration of AI, right? Like, and what is that going to be? How close are they going to be able to catch up with the competitors? There's this perceived gap between them and Google and Microsoft in particular, but also all the other players in the AI space like OpenAI and all these sorts of guys. What are they going to announce in this thing? What is going to be on iOS 18 that's going to make people go, wow, Apple did it. Apple closed the gap, right? And it can't be like iOS 18 now featuring more rounded app icons, right? It's got to be something big, something major. What are some of the rumors here? What do you think they're going to be talking about?
Well, there's a few different things, including like customizable home screens and stuff, and I can detail that in a bit. But first, I mean, is just the AI stuff being integrated throughout. And we know Apple has been buying up tech companies, AI companies specifically. I think that, was it 33?
It was 33 last time we counted it last week.
Could
I don't
be
know.
up.
Maybe they bought another last week. Maybe it's up to 34 now.
But the rumor is that they are not working on their own chatbot for iOS to be coming out on iOS 18. That is now officially confirmed. It was kind of in between. Apple was supposed to be working on their own like Apple GPT thing, but now it's confirmed that if they're going to be bringing that feature, it's going to be partnering with either Google or Baidu for Chinese iPhones.
For me, like the chatbot thing is a good demo of AI, but it not actually super practical, right? What's actually practical is integration of AI into the apps.
Yeah.
Right? Having a chatbot that I can go on and kind of talk to it like it's a normal person, cool, right? But that's not really changing my daily life and how I interact with the apps. Having a large language model or generative AI built into these apps, that's what really matters, right? That's what's really going to turn the corner and make these things cool. And I think the question really is now, how much of that is going to be Apple relying on other partners for that? How much is that Apple, all these companies they're buying, how much are they going to integrate themselves? That's really, for me, what's going to be most exciting about this event. Is Apple going to come out and say, now with whatever they call it, Apple AI Vision, I don't know, whatever stupid, marketing term they name for it, or are they going to say, we partnered with the industry leader, Google Gemini, to do this,
Yeah, and here's their CEO coming out on stage to demo for us. Other than that, though, there's the rumors of what Apple is working on internally. And the first one is Siri improvements, which I think we're all happy to see.
Siri, it's the most, we bring this up every time, but it's the most obvious answer to where can large language models benefit Apple, and that is in Siri. And to be fair, Siri has improved dramatically over the last few years.
Definitely.
You can now kind of give it multiple commands somewhat. There's still limitations on that. But it is nowhere near as advanced as the natural language conversation I can have with these AIs. And so, Siri improvements, no brainer. Got to do it.
Definitely. Then we have some AI document generation in iWork apps. That's Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. That would be the basic stuff we're seeing in Microsoft Copilot and that kind of stuff, but coming built into the apps that come on your computer and your phone and automatically sync on iCloud. So a lot of people are going to utilize that for sure.
That's where Apple's actually going to get left behind if they don't start engaging in AI, is that the app integration side of it. Because if you have a choice between using Google Docs, Microsoft Word, or Pages, and Pages is the only one without an AI assistant built into it, you're never going to use Pages. Your buddy's going to go, oh, I finished my work in 2 seconds because I had AI like do the form and figure this out, and you're sitting there plotting away doing whatever, I don't know, whatever people do in documents to work, but they need to do this. This is a must-have. And again, I think the big question is, are they going to integrate their own thing or something from a third party?
The other rumors are AI-generated playlists in Apple Music. That's kind of a fairly basic one. What do you think? You think it will?
I love this. I love this. I love this if they can do this, because not just Apple. This is true on Spotify too. This is true going back to Pandora. Is Pandora still a thing? I don't know. But all the music streaming kind of services, and even going back to iTunes, you used to have this thing called iTunes Genius, where it would try to make playlists for you. And that was a very basic mathematical kind of algorithm they were using for that. It would go, oh, you like these types of music, here's these songs. But right now, let's say that I'm listening to something in Apple Music or on Spotify and any of these other things. They have these auto playlist kind of generation systems. Let's say I'm listening to a Madonna song from the 80s, and I say, play more music like this. How does it interpret that? Yeah. Does it go, oh, you like women artists? Oh, you like Madonna? Oh, you like 80s songs? Oh, you like pop songs? Oh, you like songs with famous music videos, right? There's a lot of different ways you can interpret that input, and adding a layer of large language model AI on top of that, you can kind of narrow that down a lot easier and more effectively. So I'm actually kind of into this.
You're convincing me.
Okay, I've sold you on this on the AI.
I'm thinking more. I guess I was differentiating playlists from like radio. Radio is like what automatically happens when you play a song and then it plays something else. And if you could just give it a command to fine tune it as you're listening to stuff, that sounds great to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like it plays a song and you go, oh no, I meant play songs from the 80s. And it goes, oh cool. And then it can kind of use both those kind of inputs, songs from the 80s, but there's songs that are also like Madonna, whatever you do. So these are the types of quality of life improvements that I actually think that people are going to be impressed with. Probably maybe not as much on the music side, but I think on the photo side especially. I think about how people really use their phones and, for lack of a better term, civilians, right? Like people who aren't reading AI tech news or listening to AI podcasts all the time. They're going to go, oh, wait, that's cool. That's something different. I actually like that.
Yeah, on the music side, I just thought of something that happens all the time that they can fix, which is I like to listen to a lot of jazz and like Frank Sinatra, like vocal jazz type of stuff.
Classy guy. He's a classy guy.
And within 3 songs every time, if I ask for a specific song, it plays radio. Within 3 songs, I'm listening to Christmas music on Apple Music.
A lot of the crooner stuff will start. You'll randomly get Bing Crosby come up with a Christmas album or whatever.
And it's like, this isn't only Christmas music.
Yeah. And an AI, you could really tell it, play crooner music, leave out anything that has Christmas in it, right? And you could tell these multiple kind of commands, and it would understand that. So I think these types of things I think are going to be nice quality of life improvements.
Definitely. And photos, like you were mentioning. Another one that's rumored is better reply suggestions in messages. Fairly basic things, but quality of life improvements to where you'll actually be like, oh, I can actually use these suggestions more because they're actually pretty good and not really formulaic. But what's on your wish list of other things you'd like to see improved? You were just mentioning photos, but what else?
Sure. Like if we're talking about integration of AI, I do think the photos thing there's a lot of room for AI in photos. And in fact, I think probably the most room for dramatic improvements bringing generative AI into the Photos app. I'm going to twist your question slightly because I'm not sure if I want this, but I think it'll be cool and I think a lot of people will like it, is things that are already out there in photo apps. Google will do this on Google Photos now if you're a Pixel user or if you're a Google One subscriber, whatever their little, like it's $2 a month to pay for their services or whatever. Samsung does this on their phones, but things like generative fill to remove unwanted objects from a photo. These cool little features where if you're taking a group photo and you take 3 or 4, it'll pick the best faces from everyone from those 4 and like meld them into the photo. We can get into these weird ethical arguments about whether we're like no longer capturing reality if we do this.
It's true.
But a lot of times, most people use their camera not to capture reality, but to capture memories, right? And if you remember this day with everyone was happy, but for some reason one person wasn't smiling in that photo, it throws off the memory of it, right? That's kind of cool. That kind of stuff I think is neat. And also, like I've been saying, that's a kind of a marquee feature that you can put in a keynote and people go, oh, wow, that's pretty neat. That's cool.
Yeah, for me, it'd probably just be Siri improvements, but like you were saying, following up and refining results and other things like that, especially with across the board with all the HomeKit stuff. Because my home, I have HomePods everywhere that I'm using all the time, and it can just get a lot better. And yeah, it kind of needs that touch of like to figure out something, not just to have it programmed correctly, but to figure out like, oh, he doesn't actually want this right now. Yeah. He's just saying these words. Here's what he wants.
The initial reply is one thing, right? That's easy kind of to do, but it's that follow-up refinement and being able to talk to it naturally, right? Like if you say, Siri, change the lighting in the room right now, I'm like waiting, making sure that I didn't set off Siri saying that.
Oh, you did.
I set off Siri saying that. But, and it does the thing, and then you can reply to it again. Oh, actually make it more like that. Like you can have a conversation with it. That's where the Matt.
Hey Siri, stop.
We're like, no problem. See, we're like setting Siri off all over the place. This is our exact example, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is probably a couple generations more from this, but a true AI would recognize, hey, like they're shooting a video right now. They're using this as a demo. Did they actually want me to activate right now? There's a lot of context clues it can use that's not there right now. So opening doors toward that sort of thing is something I'm interested in. I like to go back to something you'd mentioned, but we kind of glossed over it. That is something that I have never once ever cared about. I have heard this multiple times as the number one reason Android users will not switch to iPhone, and it's the ability to customize app placement on the home screen.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but people like that's. I say it's crazy. I mean, you like what you like, and there's some people who on the Android side are like, I don't like having my apps in a grid. I want them in different places. I want whatever. I want to see my wallpaper more. Supposedly, iOS 18 finally giving us that ability. Yeah. Are you amped about this?
I think I kind of am. Yeah, this is apparently going to be the most customizable iOS yet, especially with the home screen. You can put them freely on the home screen. But yeah, what it allows you to do is I've seen people set their home screens up to where, maybe you have a widget at the top and then you have like a couple icons at the bottom. And then that's that page.
It's a hyper minimal
thing. And then you swipe over to like a different use page. Yeah. And right now, if you do that, it all is gridded up, Yeah.
And they have weird widgets you can get to make gaps. It's a weird kind of hack way to do it or whatever. Yeah, cool. I guess if people want this, I'm happy for these people who are going to finally get it. It's never been something high on my list, I guess. But but cool. So that's a big thing that they're talking about. A few other things. We've kind of been mainly focused on the iOS side here.
Yeah.
Apple's now running a lot of different operating systems. I think we'll probably gloss over tvOS. I don't think. Although I'm an Apple TV user, so I like when there's that.
I am too. I like little features.
I like little features, but I don't think people care about that a lot. But something we talk about a lot on this channel is the Vision Pro and just Apple wearables in general. This actually reminded me of something that we maybe don't talk about a lot on here: mouse support for the Vision. And we talk a lot about using the Vision as a separate monitor device. When we're talking about that, we're really talking about it using a Mac that's already in the room and it's utilizing the Mac. This is to bring trackpad or mouse or support directly to the Apple Vision. Is that something you would use? Is that something you're interested in?
I think so, definitely. Because right now, the Apple Vision, it's all set up, so it's just your hands, of course. You can link a keyboard to it if you want. But then, the only way to get a mouse is to actually be mirroring your computer. And then it will work. The mouse works with other apps. So it works with the Vision OS apps and has the little circle just like it does on an iPad. But it doesn't have mouse support unless you're using the actual Mac monitor thing. Yeah, I would love to see that because there's certain apps that I think this could run as well. Like, it could probably natively run Final Cut. I guess there's the whole thing of actually getting your footage into the thing, and
you pull it from the cloud or something like that. You can make it,
more complicated, but it would be just like on an iPad. And it would be really great to be able to use a mouse instead of have to use like a keyboard and your finger and your eyes tracking around to edit. It can run it internally, and then you wouldn't have to bring this computer and the Vision everywhere you go. You might get to a point where you can literally just bring this thing, and that's your computer that you have with you.
Yeah, and we can talk a lot about what's the best interface for humans and computers. And Apple has obviously thought about this a lot since their inception. Famously, the Apple was not the inventor of the mouse, but certainly the first widespread consumer computer that included the mouse was the Apple Lisa. Even more widespread once they went over to the Macintosh. In all that time, since 1983, when the Lisa was released, there's some apps that still just work better with a mouse interface. And I would argue video editing may be one of them. I'm not a big touchscreen editor guy, even on the iPad and things like that. And maybe it's just because I'm so used to that paradigm. But I do think there's something to be said for the mouse input. I think it is better for certain use cases. And if the idea of the Vision Pro is that this is the future of computing, there's going to be some times where a mouse just works better. It makes more sense instead of looking around and gestures and all this sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I always find that, and you notice it especially when typing and backspacing in particular, is that you have to look at every control you're doing. So if I'm typing, I'm like, oh, I need to backspace. I have to look down at backspace, and then to see how many characters, I have to look back up, pause from backspace, versus I could be looking and clicking,
Yeah, this is crazy, right? And I feel like a lot of people, especially if I use the example of video editing again, a lot of people are so muscle memory with it. They don't have to change their eyes at all. They can look straight at the footage and they're reaching their mouse and their keyboard and doing the shortcuts, and it's just faster. It's just faster to do it that way than some other kind of gesture or look-based input.
Yeah, so just the added ability for that would be great. It's not like they're saying you have to get this. It's more like an Apple Pencil situation. They didn't make a stylus for the longest time, and then they finally make like the pencil, and it makes tons of sense on an iPad.
And that's actually one of the rumors here.
That's
integration
true.
of Apple Pencil into Vision Pro. They've only been testing it. I don't know if it's going to come out this round, but maybe in next major update. I'm on board with this. I love this idea. Like, I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, if you're the ability to draw in 3D space or to sculpt in 3D space and have a direct pointing device that you're holding or tool device, whatever you want to call it, that seems very cool to me. That seems like something that would actually be useful, especially when you see a lot of the ways Apple promotes the Vision. These people in these cool San Francisco offices looking at their 3D diagram of a jet engine or whatever it is, right? Like it'd be cool to have an Apple Pencil to illustrate things or to draw in the air, or do stuff like that.
Totally. And I heard another rumor with that being like that you could use your desk or whatever, and you're just writing on a blank desk, but it is receiving that input.
I'm on board with this too. This seems cool.
Yeah, I'm very on board with that as well, because it would be tracking everything against a surface, but it's all coming from the pencil and feeding into what it's seeing. I think that could be really cool.
That might be the thing that throws me over the top of like, I got to get this thing now. Yeah. I got to get this thing.
Other things we're hopeful for in Vision OS 2 are share play, because right now it's extremely isolating. If I watch a movie, I'm the only one watching the movie. So if I have $7,000 to spare between the two people that I want to watch a movie with, we can do that. It's just funny that it's not a feature right now, because it's a really great movie watching experience, but it's very solo right now. It'd be really cool to be able to do it with someone else and have them in pass-through and everything like that. But then dual monitors might be another one. There are already apps that will support this, but we like a built-in app on the Apple side of things. We like when we unfortunately like it when they take a developer out by I'm sorry for those developers, but yes, it is better when it's fully integrated into the Apple system. It is. But yes, there is a new Apple Pencil that's rumored to be coming in April for the iPad. It's unsure if these are connected or not. I would love that if an Apple Pencil for the Vision came out next month, but it seems unlikely, or at least maybe it wouldn't come until WWDC. We actually see that it already supports it, just needs an update or whatever. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming to WWDC. I'm excited, I think, for Vision a lot, but then also the AI stuff. What are you most excited for?
Yeah, definitely just to see what Apple's answer to all this AI stuff's going to be. Right? And it's very possible they say nothing. I wouldn't put that past Apple to not try to get pulled into these industry trends. And it's like, oh, we're working on AI stuff, but maybe you won't see it for a little bit longer or something. Yeah. But definitely just seeing how they're going to answer the outcry from the general tech community saying, hey, where's the AI from Apple? When they do answer that, is that going to be satisfying to people? Are they going to come out with something that people are going to go, wow, that is very cool. I love that. Or are they going to come out with something and the kind of audience is going to say, oh, well, great. Microsoft already has this.
Yeah. Well, we'll be sure to keep you posted with the latest rumors, and this is all coming up in June.
See you then.